Okay, guys, welcome back to the channel. It's a lot going on, and I've been having to kind of like keep my energy as clear as possible, drink my water, just so that I can bang out these readings for you guys. In the event that there is a need to go back and reference, that's kind of like why I'm doing this in real time because a lot of the clues seem to be popping out in real time. So, if you need to get this video out to someone or if you share it, great, to the right people, whatever the case may be, we need to find Nancy at this point. We know that she's most likely deceased. And at this stage in the case, the investigation naturally shifts from what happened to who could realistically be involved in the situation. So the FBI recently dropped a video. I posted it. And I feel like I'm going to try my best to not make this episode about accusations. Okay. This is going to be about identity proximity, access pathways, and motive logic. There was a cluster of cards that came out 2 readings ago that I didn't address, but I knew to put them to the side because I knew it was going to come in handy when I get to this part of it where I try to identify who this last witness is. Okay. Because the last witness card has come out more than at least twice. Now, the same framework I'm going to be using in all of these active investigations when the facts start unfolding. So we're going to keep that in mind as well. Now, when law enforcement releases footage or images of a person of interest, we know that it usually signals one thing clearly, that they have narrowed down the circle. They may even be trying to prime the person who may have been given Miranda warnings, which I didn't even know that was a thing, that, we're closing in on the case. Now, we're going to profile this situation using 3 pillars. I ask that you use your eyes and ears to help identify a few things. I do have this spread, or at least the picture of the spread. Let me get that up here first. Okay, so I'm going to, again, like I said, try to profile this situation using 3 pillars, one of them being proximity. We're going to try to touch on opportunity and then the incentive. Now, in the past, go back to the beginning of this series. Okay. I'm trying to consolidate and make it easy for people to follow. There have been different things that came up. Earlier today, we had something about an RV camper. There was something about insurance that came up yesterday. Again, inheritance money, greed came up yesterday. But that RV and camp card, this is why I need your help as well, because when I am doing these intuitive readings, some things stick out to me more than others. Okay. But because I'm an intuitive, I have to process a lot of information in a short amount of time, because I'm also trying not to make these hour-long readings. Okay. So the camper card came out today and I was like, who has a camper? Mind you, I had no idea that as I'm doing that, within maybe the same hour, there was a stream of them going to Annie's neighborhood, going door to door to neighbors, and they did actually go into a neighbor's RV or camper. Now, does that mean that anything is in there? Did they find anything? No. But again, this is what I'm talking about. It's like I can almost walk through some of what I see in the reading. So again, that's just to provide context. Now let's get to this cluster. The loner family member. So I feel like this family member, if we are talking about a family member, could be the loser. I'm telling you, I already picked up on this. I'm going to do a reading on that at some point. Just give me a second. I'm trying to handle this with care. So in the event there is an investigator that stumbles upon this reading, they can do it, check the time, reference things, like anybody can go back to this. It's not just about an official investigator. If there are other people who are following the case and certain things ping their interest or whatever, we never know who may offer tips to a hotline, all of that good stuff. Okay, so The loner family member, this is definitely somebody who is like on the outskirts. This is an outsider. The outsider card came out yesterday, I think, or maybe 3 days ago, but their profile is set up right here. I didn't know you could be a psychopath and a sociopath. I kind of feel like you got to be a special type of person. Okay. So there may be something that needs to be uncovered as far as the close relationships around Nancy. Somebody could be mentally unstable or take medication, or they need to be on some medication. Clearly, because if you do this type of crime and you have to think about it, and you're planning like something, you are diabolical. That's all I'm going to say. The black sheep is here. This person could have felt like the outsider, like I'm saying, like maybe they are the loser out of the sibling group. Okay, they may be the middle child with all the fucking problems. I'm trying to keep this as PC as possible, but it kind of does make me upset. The dating app connection card is back out here again. So I feel like this may have something to do with a relationship that was formed through dating. Okay, like dating online, obviously dating online. So somebody could have met someone online. Okay, now soil analysis could be significant specifically today. Maybe there are drops of human blood that they can analyze, or saliva. The suspect was seen. Let's go back to this video real quick. Now, if you look at this video, you see that the suspect he has a flashlight in his mouth. And now when you hold anything in your mouth, and especially something like a flashlight, I feel like there's going to be breathing. You possibly may have like spit that falls out of your mouth. Now, of course, this happened in the middle of the night, so I don't expect them to be able to pick up on saliva that's dried, but you never know. This is a dry area though. Now, what came out today in my earlier reading, which is crazy because this was before this video was dropped, flowers was significant, and there was a lot about like the landscape. I heard that they have been doing DNA tests on the people who take care of the house, including the landscaper. So that could be in reference to that, or it could be in reference to the fact that he did his own little renovation of the landscape by pulling up weeds to cover his face on the ring light. Which, what world, sir? Does it make sense for you to be walking back and forth? Like, you're just creating more room for error. This strikes me as somebody who thought about it but not long enough, and who does not clearly watch any type of crime investigation shit. Because there's absolutely no way that I would go out to do a crime and be backtracking, going back and forth. It's a straight shot to the door, staying right there, positioning myself in one place as much as I possibly can, compacting my movement. You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm not trying to help him be a bad criminal, but it just feels like some of this, like the details that we get maybe at trial, if this goes to it, are going to be kind of significant in the sense of like being ridiculous. Oh my God. Okay. So I'm watching a stream right now as I'm doing this reading. There's pigs outside. Now, they're hogs. Now, I'm going to turn the volume up, and obviously I'm going to see what this is about. If this is like, I guess this is Annie's pig. Annie has a hog. Anyway, let me keep going. Soil analysis, and then group operates underground is a motive. Now, there's been talks about this possibly being related to cartel. I don't know how significant that is, or if that is even important. Again, it may be important if there is like a national security issue. However, if it's not, and if it's just kind of like this concentrated group of buffoonery, then obviously we'll know something. Now, this could also point to there being something going on underground. Maybe she could be found underground. I know they were checking the septic tank, but again, let me get back to the profile. Okay, sorry for the back and forth, but I had to provide context as we go along, just in case there is somebody who is stumbling upon this particular video at this juncture. Okay, so identity proximity, like I was saying, it doesn't necessarily mean someone close emotionally. It could just mean that someone close enough to act, okay, without like a whole lot of friction. So, somebody who has less of an emotional attachment to somebody. So that could be an easy grabbed for, an in-law. Okay, but again, not accusing anybody yet. Now, the profile indicators that we know so far. The suspect seems to be familiar with the area or the routine, because the fact that he walked up directly to the camera lets me know that he sees it and knows what to do. He's also looking around though, so he could feel comfortable enough, even at 1 a.m. in the morning, comfortable enough to snoop around like that without feeling overly suspicious. Maybe people, and this is where it goes into eyewitnesses. It's a lot of older people in that neighborhood, it looks like. So maybe they aren't up at 1 a.m. So that's possibly, an advantage that he had. Now, comfortable moving without hesitation. That's kind of like where I'm also seeing him taking like his sweet time, is almost as if you know exactly what you're doing or where to look for shit. Now, he could. In this video, you see that the person is not visibly disoriented or rushed. So again, like I said, they're not trying to get to point A. Obviously he wants to do this in a timely fashion, but you get what I'm saying. Now, the behavior that I am seeing does suggest that there is a purpose, not necessarily curiosity. It's not like he's looking for, he does seem to be curious about how else can I get in? Maybe there is, it's odd that he's not trying to see the windows. I need to go back and see like the front of the house. The front of the house could be significant. I also wonder if the blood splatter that we're seeing is something that happens. Well, it has to happen on the exit of Nancy leaving the house or retrieving her. And now that I'm also here, before I get into these cards too, I'm picking up on the energy of with those cards that came out in the beginning, the earlier days. There was something about poisoning. Yesterday, it started to come out a lot. There were more than one card that was talking about poisoning, lacing the drink, lacing something, medication. It was just a whole lot. So and this is an older lady, but she's not necessarily like super small. Like, I don't think she's like, 1,000 pounds, but I don't think she's like, 50. So 50 pounds, like she's got to be, a little bit of weight on her. So I feel like there was something as far as getting her out of the house that may have been administered to get her out quickly. But then again, that calls into question, like, well, how did you get her out? Because again, I'm thinking about her screaming or causing some type of struggle and all of that. That wasn't necessarily reported, or we're not hearing anything about that. So that's why, whatever. So there's no exaggerated concealment going on, which often implies like a level of confidence. So it does feel like this person kind of knew that they could kind of get away with doing something. Okay. I just don't know exactly what is the something by the time they get in the house. Now, people who don't belong usually overcorrect. People who do belong, though, they move kind of cleanly. So he is moving kind of cleanly, even though he's got too much stuff on. I'm going to tell you now, ain't no way I'm going to use plastic gloves or latex gloves, because in the event that somebody tears them, whether you're getting banged up with something, or again, but this maybe is talking about like how careful he's trying to be, because maybe you're being careful enough to where these gloves aren't going to be necessarily broken or obstructed in any way. Who knows? Now let's try to see if we can pull anything else as far as like this timeline, because that's been coming up. I'm going to do a video. I know I've been saying it, but there's something about the timeline that we need to get to. Symbolic jewelry is out here again. Somebody wears some significant jewelry, or jewelry is being found or looked for. I don't know. Now let's talk about the opportunity in this case. It seems to be hinging on a narrow post-arrival window. Okay, so this is not like a broad timeline. I don't feel like it's going to be really hard to plug and play. They're just being very careful about that, being very precise, because that's what's required in these types of windows. Now, the opportunity markers are here. We do know that there is knowledge of when Nancy would be alone. Okay, so and it seems to be almost like expected that she would be home alone at 1 a.m. Again, she's an older lady. They go to sleep a little bit old, sooner. Now we do know that the last witness was most likely Tommaso. They said that he actually drove her home after there was dinner. So it makes sense that he would know about what time she would fall asleep. Perhaps she even has medication that makes her go to sleep. Who knows? I don't know. We also know that there's an ability to approach without triggering the alarm. There was an alarm. They knew where the alarm was. They obstructed it, messed it up, smashed it, whatever. There's no signs of forced entry reportedly publicly, but again, we do know that that blood drip tells me that happened most likely on the way out after you have successfully got in. And I remember in the reading where I mentioned something about her being confused and startled, maybe paranoid about the reason why she was lured into an opportunity. Maybe something felt off about that dinner, even the invitation to go to that dinner. Is that something that normally happens? I asked in the reading where I said I was going to touch on the siblings. Do the siblings have a close relationship? Is the sister considered to be like the caretaker group, the one who's assuming the role of most of the caretaking for the mom if she lives down the street? Okay. But we do see that there's minimal disturbance consistent with controlled interaction. Now, that combination of all those things kind of removes random actors from the equation. I know we have been talking about the possibility of a lot of different things, but it seems to be closing in on what's going on. Now, let's get to the motive categories again, because stuff has come out about the motive. Let's see if there's anything else. Now, the potential motive types, there's different levels of it. We have, information or pressure. So there's some type of like personal leverage maybe there. We got to see if there's a transactional motive, because that could be the case as well. Is there really a silencing motive? I think we've moved on from that as far as like prevention and getting to the point where there's not an escalation. I think we moved on from that when we saw Savannah's recent video where she came to the public. Now we have talked about another motive type as like misjudging the intervention. So maybe, the intended outcome is not greater than the actual outcome. Again, moving away from the kidnapping because that was most likely a ruse to throw off the authorities, give them time. But ultimately, I know that they would have thought if she's out in the open and maybe like an open field nearby the home, they assumed that either there would be they could stage animals attacking this woman and making it look like some mauling, or kind of like for the purpose of messing with the evidence in some way. Who knows? Making her unrecognizable. Who knows? But I know that they figured that the decomposition, all the decomposing fluids that come out of a body after a certain time in this heat, there has to be some level of concern about where this woman is for that reason. There was something that came out 2 days ago that I wasn't sure if it had to do with the Nancy case or if it was because I had also recently covered the recent death of Lil Jon's son, Nathan. He was found in water. And I am going to do an update on that. But both of these cases have people who, they're the name of their first letter in their name starts with N. And I said that in like 3 weeks ago, I said there was going to be some missing persons cases that come out and the letter N is significant. Go back to my videos. I don't make this shit up. Anyway, I really am the new Sloan Bella. I'm really trying not to toot my own horn about it, but it's true. Now let's get to this escalation signals. Now, what escalates a case, I think, from disappearance to like it turning into like an active recovery isn't panic. It's pattern disruption. So we've seen that the scene has been revisited a few times. There have been shifts in the messaging. Okay. We also know that there has been like increased public communication and private communication. There was a confirmed text message that I'll get into that was sent to Tommaso and Annie, which I think is a key indicator about all of this. And it came from the ransom person who they arrested, who was like the fake guy. And his explanation was, oh, I was just watching them and I sent the message to the family, yada, yada, yada. But again, doesn't make sense. Now, we also know that there has been a strategic release of imagery. We've seen today that there's been a lot of movement, and then they dropped this to most likely let the perpetrator know we're on the hunt for you. We know exactly what you look like. So that there is a bit of a tightening of information, but in doing that, that the next communication that we hear from law enforcement most likely is going to be this press conference tonight. So again, that's why I'm trying to get these videos out. Now let's talk about this behavior though, because the things that I have been observing as far as his behavioral notes are concerned. In this video, you see him kind of like, he walks with his head down, but he's in an upright posture. Okay, there is direct movement towards the door. So you know exactly where it is. It's not like, oh, if you can't see it from the walkway, that maybe it's to the left. You know what I'm trying to say, okay? There is a little bit of scanning behavior, but it's not like, let me go around the house. Now, it could be that we're only getting this clip of the video on purpose, and that could be a signal that the law enforcement is making to this perpetrator as well. Okay, that this is right before something significant happened or right after, who knows? Okay, but the pace that he's having is very consistent with intention. The hands seem to be occupied, but they are controlled. It looks like he's trying to make sure, like, okay, let me hide this, let me press this, let me not touch it with my fingertips, in the event of whatever. Like, he's very careful. This is not someone who's testing the space. This is someone who's executing within it. All right. Now let's get into these spirit questions. Was the individual captured on camera acting independently or under instruction? Is the person on camera acting independently or under instruction? Robbery gone violent. Okay, was the individual captured acting independently or by instruction? This feels like a fuzzy transmission. Love triangle came back out again. That was in the other reading, and I didn't quite understand it. 2 p.m., 2 p.m. is significant. I don't know if that's in reference to this afternoon. Their guilt is loud. This card came out again. All right. Their guilt is loud. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. The people that are around them can see the guilt on their face right now. They look stupid. Crime of passion, but it's really not that. Love bombing pattern. There could be a lot of like, oh, I love yous, and that's really not the case. Clearly, if you would do this to, nope. 1:11 a.m. is back out here again. Okay, does this person have prior familiarity with Nancy's routine? Does this person have prior familiarity with Nancy's routine? They were jealous. Somebody was jealous. Okay. Jealous of what? We have fuel purchases, anomalies. Why am I having such a hard time saying that? Item missing from victim. Item missing from victim could be significant. This could be in reference to that symbolic jewelry that I was talking about, or this could be the fact that she left without important items, like maybe her keys, glasses if she wears them. I don't know. Let me know in the comments if that is a thing, but I'm assuming she most likely didn't leave, prepared. Late evening is significant. Late evening. So what was the question that I asked? Does this person have prior familiarity with Nancy's routine? Yeah, they knew that an exact time unknown just popped out after late evening. They didn't know an exact time, but they knew that they could catch her late at night when she's asleep. That was the motive, basically. Not the motive, but a strategy. Missing juror. Okay, this has something to do with like Missing juror, that may have something to do with the trial later on. Who knows? Guest testimonies again is here. So that could be anybody in the neighborhood. False witness on record. False witness on record. Somebody who was not present for the act, but may be involved, could be saying something officially, and that could be untrue. Okay. Is the motive rooted in leverage rather than emotion? Is the motive rooted in leverage rather than emotion? We have projection and gaslighting. Shipping and delivery receipts is back out here again. Okay, so is the motive rooted in leverage rather than emotion? Ugh. Can we clarify? Projection and gaslighting, shipping and delivery receipts. Oh, okay. Something could be significant about a purchase online. I don't know. I'm picking up on Amazon again or UPS. That's what this could be about. Somebody stupidly could have ordered equipment for shit for this. And it's like, why do y'all really don't watch shows, do y'all? Like, don't buy anything right before you about to do something and wear it. Family sues for justice is back out here. They may be suing Pima County. They may start to receive a lot of backlash, or there could be something that goes on in terms of like missteps. Construction worker recollections. Okay, was the original intent containment rather than harm? Keys found at the scene. We already know that. Cool. Look at my phone. So they could be looking at. Ooh, this feels like this is not even Nancy's phone. This is looking at the family's phone. Voice heard and sleep paralysis. Okay, that could have like woken Nancy up. I don't know. Somebody could be. Poison and liquid is out here again. Phone data manipulated. Somebody tried to delete some text messages, delete their history, their call history, call log, whatever. Civil versus criminal investigation differences. So there could be something that comes up as far as like civil cases and criminal cases. Spiritual justice overrides the earthy one. So I don't know. Something could be disappointing about that. I don't know. Did escalation occur due to loss of control? Did escalation occur due to loss of control? Oh shit. Okay. Somebody was paranoid again. So when this card came out before, it was more so about like maybe somebody going against their intuitive nudge, their gut feeling, and it felt more so on the part of like Nancy. This time the paranoia seems like maybe something kind of went left a little bit, and they felt like the last thing to do would be to either let her unalive or do the unaliving intentionally. Or she could have fell and hit her head and, bled out, and that kind of went left. You never know. You never know exactly what happened with that. So, especially with that blood analysis, we still haven't gotten word on specifically what that is. There is some type of foreign or rental car here, though, as far as like the getaway is concerned, or it could be that this is not their car. Again, we're talking about the suspect. So this may not be a car that's in their name. It could be foreign in that sense, or there could be help, a larger conspiracy in that sense. We talked about the delivery truck and the vans, whatever, the sightings of other movement in the middle of a storm. All right. In the middle of a storm, paranoia, foreign car. So something could have happened in the car on the way, and that could have went left. Whoever is this witness, they've been lying. Something is going to come out about like their alibi. They've been lying about certain things that can be easily verified. Surveillance footage edited. This card just came out. Surveillance footage edited. So either we're getting the edited version of what everything played out on this camera, which obviously we are getting an edited version to some degree, right? But what could be before and after this clip could be significant as far as like what comes out as far as the escalation. Maybe there was something else. Well, no, not as far as the escalation, but maybe there is something else as a clue as what happened at the entrance. Now, is law enforcement closer than the public realizes? I think we do know that they are closer now. Missing time block. See, again, they're just trying to fine tune. They're trying to put something together as far as like final timelines. Vehicle movement analysis. I told you they're looking at the cars that move. Deceased RIP. So they're looking for a body right now. All right. This is what, God. They're analyzing the vehicle. Something happened in the car. There was a disruption in the car. That's the time block that this motherfucker is lying about, and they can't verify, but they're dumb enough to think that it cannot be verified by the police. Okay, so yeah, they just didn't think this through at all. There could be also a hidden camera somewhere, because this is the second time this came out. It doesn't mean that it has to be completely hidden, but it could also be just something like in a blind spot or someone else's camera that, you know, they didn't account for. Is the outcome trajectory already internally determined? I think it is, but is the outcome trajectory, at least we're close. This is the final question too. Status in question. Body disposed, hidden post-mortem. So something happened in the car. This person probably drugged Nancy or hit her or something, and something went left. Maybe her stress level brought her to a heart attack, and he just left her out somewhere to die. I don't know. Feather on the body is again here. All right. Jealous or envious is back out here. So this person had the nerve to be jealous. I think, I'm guessing for the sake of financial gain, like jealous of, remember when the reading where I said power over vulnerable people, but it also read to me like power over making powerful people feel vulnerable. So if you feel inadequate in any way due to your lack of finances, maybe you look at other people and you look down upon them in a certain way, right? Like they don't deserve it, or you feel entitled to it in some way. All right. So that is kind of like the outcome. Now, this episode, I feel like it has established a good framework for us, not necessarily conclusions. As new details surface, I'm going to give an update, the case matrix, and kind of like reassess some of the identity proximity stuff, because it does seem to be coming out full force. I want to say full throttle, but it's like some of the cards that were coming out forcefully, I slightly was ignoring some of them. So I'm going to go back. Eventually, I employed the both, or you guys, to go back as well to the other readings that I've done. Episode 7, I think it's 7. I'm going to address some of the decision points to see exactly where the investigation turns one way or another. I don't know. Obviously, we'll see how it plays out. But I do think this is a good step in the right direction to come into a close, at least providing some level of closure for the family. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Make sure that you hit the like button and the subscribe button. Let's help this investigation come to a proper conclusion. All right. I love you. Bye.